Welcome to the It Factor, where Jemmy and I exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML and MSP in Queens, NY, offering network management, VoIP and UCAS, cybersecurity, compliance, IAA, cloud, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this deep dive is for you.
Exactly. Today we're digging into a recent FBI warning, summarized really well in this post, but a specific cybercrime group.
Okay.
They're known as the Silent Ransom Group, or SRG,
Yeah.
but they also go by, maybe a bit more dramatically, Luna Moth.
Luna Moth. Huh. Okay, yeah, that does have a ring to it. And the big deal right now is this focused campaign, right? Especially hitting U.S. law firms.
That's the headline, yeah.
But I guess this isn't just about lawyers, is it? The way they operate. That seems relevant to pretty much anyone with sensitive data.
Oh, absolutely. You're
Yeah.
spot on there. So our mission today in this deep dive
Yeah.
is to really unpack this threat, understand their shifting tactics.
Right.
Why certain businesses, like law firms, are such prime targets, and crucially, what the FBI is telling businesses like yours to do about it, the proactive steps.
Got it. Okay, let's get into it. Luna Moth hitting law firms. But the post mentions, and this seems key, that they've changed things up from, like, the usual ransomware stuff.
Yeah, what's really interesting is how they've evolved. Traditional ransomware locks your files up, pay the ransom, get the key, hopefully.
Didn't we? We've heard that story a lot.
Well, Luna Moth, they've mostly stepped away from that encryption part. Their whole game now is data exfiltration.
Exfiltration. So, stealing.
Stealing it first. They grab your sensitive stuff, pull it out, then they threaten to publish it or sell unless you pay. The leverage is the leak, not the lock.
So they might not even disrupt your day-to-day operations by encrypting files. They're just quietly copying the crown jewels in the background. That feels way sneakier.
It is, much stealthier. The source calls it highly organized data extortion. And they use fileless operations.
Fileless. What does that mean in practice?
It means they try to avoid installing obvious malware files. Many security tools look for those known bad files, or the noisy process of, mass encryption.
Ah, okay.
Fileless attacks and just topping data. They're designed to sort of fly under that radar. It relies more on social engineering, getting remote access, using built-in tools, psychological pressure.
Okay, so if it's stealthy and fileless, how are they actually getting that initial foothold? Sounds like they aren't just brute forcing their way in.
No, not usually. Their main way in leans heavily on social engineering. Tricking people. Often starts with really convincing phishing emails.
Okay, the classic phishing attack. What kind of bait are they using for these law firms or, well, potentially anyone?
The FBI alert, according to the Post, says they often pose as IT support.
Oh, okay, like your antivirus is expiring.
Exactly that. Or maybe there's some urgent issue with your account, click here or call this number immediately. They create that false sense of urgency or need for help.
And if someone bites on that email, clicks the link, replies,
Right.
What happens next? Is that when the malware hits?
Well, here's their twist. It's often not direct malware from the email. It's what's called a callback scam.
Callback.
Yeah, the email gives you a phone number. It tricks the victim into calling the attackers, who are pretending to be, say, Microsoft support or their own IT help desk.
Wait, so the person who got the email calls the bad guys?
Yep, it totally flips the script.
Yeah.
Instead of the attacker pushing malware, the victim pulls the attacker in, essentially.
Wow, that's clever
Yeah.
and devious.
It is. And once they have the victim on the phone, the fake support agent sounds all professional and helpful.
Right.
And they talk the victim through granting them remote access to their machine, maybe to fix the supposed problem or complete that renewal.
Oh boy. And once they have remote access, game over.
That's when the data theft really begins. They get in and they use legitimate, everyday file transfer tools. The Post mentions things like WinSCP, ArcLoan.
Tools that a real sysadmin might use for legitimate work, right? Like moving files, backups.
Exactly. So using those helps them blend in. They start quietly copying sensitive files out of the network to their own servers.
Just copying, not encrypting.
Right. Often maybe doing it slowly, bit by bit, so it doesn't trigger alerts about massive data transfers. It looks like normal, maybe slightly unusual, network traffic.
And then after they've siphoned off what they want, the hammer falls.
That's the final act, extortion. The victim finds out, or maybe the attackers contact them directly. Pressure's on. Pay up, usually in crypto, or we release everything. Your client files, your financial data, everything.
For a law firm, that's catastrophic. The threat of releasing confidential client info must be immense.
Absolutely. The psychological pressure, the business risk, it's huge.
Okay, so that whole process is clear. Phishing, Then the callback trick, remote access, stealthy data theft using legit tools, and finally the extortion threat. Now, why law firms specifically? The FBI highlighted them. What makes them such juicy targets?
Well, you hit on it. Law firms sit on mountains of incredibly sensitive stuff. Confidential case details, financial settlements, privileged attorney-client communications, client IP.
Stuff that absolutely cannot see the light of day.
Precisely. The source actually calls it a low tolerance for data leaks. For lawyers, confidentiality isn't just good practice, it's like the bedrock of their profession. A leak can destroy their reputation, violate ethical duties.
So they're highly motivated to pay just to prevent that leak, even if they have backups.
That's the calculation the attackers are making, yeah. The pressure to make the problem go away quickly is enormous.
Okay, high sensitivity. What else? Is the data itself valuable beyond just being secret?
Oh, for sure. Think about inside info on mergers and acquisitions before they happen, or sensitive details about ongoing litigation, or valuable intellectual property designs a firm might be holding for a tech client. That data has real street value on the dark web or to competitors.
Right, M&A info alone could be huge. And the post mentioned a third vulnerability, and this is where it gets really relevant for, our listeners, the small business owners, the IT managers.
This is the critical link, I think. The FBI notes, and Kaplan echoes it, that many small to mid-sized law firms are, quote, often underprotected.
Meaning?
Meaning they might not have a dedicated cybersecurity team. Maybe they don't have advanced monitoring tools like a SUM, a security information and event management system. They might lack a fully tested incident response plan.
Okay, and that profile, smaller organization, maybe holds sensitive data, but limited IT security resources. That sounds like a lot of businesses, not just law firms.
Exactly. If you're running a doctor's office with patient records, or an accounting practice, maybe a small manufacturing shop with designs, even retail with customer data, you hold sensitive information. And like those smaller law firms, you might not have a huge budget for cybersecurity specialists. So the tactics Luna Moth uses, the social engineering, the callback scam, abusing remote access, those are highly relevant to you. You might share those same vulnerabilities.
That really drives it home. This isn't some niche legal industry issue. It's a warning about evolving attack methods that could hit almost anyone. So knowing that, what's the FBI recommending? What are the practical steps businesses should take?
The FBI's push is all about proactive defense, moving away from just reacting. And number one, it sounds simple, but it's vital. Employee training.
Got to train people to spot these scams, right? Especially that callback trick.
Absolutely. It's not just don't click links anymore.
Yeah.
Training needs to cover these impersonation tactics, the pressure techniques, specifically how callback scams work.
Maybe run some simulations, fake phishing tests.
Yeah, simulated attacks are great. They help people recognize and, crucially, report these things before they cause damage. Make it muscle memory.
Okay, training is step one. What about the tech side? Making it harder for them to get in or steal stuff.
Multi-factor authentication, MFA. The FBI is hammering this home. Put it everywhere you can.
Especially email. Remote access.
Definitely email. Remote access tools like VPNs, any file sharing platforms, whether cloud or on-prem. MFA is that extra lock. Even if they trick someone into giving up a password.
They still can't log in without that second factor, like a code from your phone.
Exactly. It's a massive barrier against the kind of account takeover they need for remote access. It's probably the single biggest technical control you can implement against this kind of attack.
Okay, MFA is crucial. What else on the technical front?
Look hard at your remote access protocols. Who has remote access? Why? What tools are they allowed to use? Is it truly necessary?
Tighten that up. Disable old accounts or services.
Precisely. Shut down anything you don't actively need. Every open door is a potential entry point. Minimize that attack surface.
Makes sense. And if they do get in and start using those quiet tools like WinSCP to copy data, how do you even see that happening?
That's where logging and monitoring become key. You need visibility into what's happening on your network.
Like a SIEM system.
A full SIEM is great if you can manage it. But even for smaller businesses, just enabling basic logging on servers, firewalls, workstations, and actually reviewing those logs periodically is important.
What are you looking for?
Unusual activity.
Yeah.
Logins from weird places or at odd hours. An account accessing files it normally doesn't touch. Or, seeing tools like rclone or WinSCP being used unexpectedly, maybe transferring large amounts of data out. You're looking for anomalies for the behavior of data theft.
Gotcha. Spotting the patterns. And the last piece of advice, the one we always hear, backups.
Always backups. Regular backups are essential, but the FBI stresses making them secure, specifically having offline or immutable backups.
Offline meaning physically disconnected or logically separated?
Ideally, yeah, backups that aren't constantly connected to the network an attacker might compromise. Because if attackers get deep enough, they'll look for your online backups and try to delete or encrypt those too to increase their leverage.
Right, take away your safety net.
So secure, offline, tested backups mean you can recover your data and operations yourself. It might not stop them from leaking what they stole.
But it means you're not forced to pay them just to get your own business running again.
Exactly. It dramatically changes the power dynamic in that extortion phase, gives you options.
Okay, so wrapping this up, this deep dive into the Len Kaplan post on the FBI warning, it really highlights a shift.
It does. Luna Moth, the Silent Ransom Group, they're showing us a more sophisticated, data theft-focused extortion model. Less noise, more sneakiness.
And while law firms are the current target in the spotlight, the vulnerabilities' reliance on people, potential gaps in security resources, the value of data apply widely.
Very widely.
Yeah.
Any business holding sensitive info needs to pay attention to these tactics.
So the big takeaway seems to be, this threat is evolving, it's real, and you need to be proactive. You can't just rely on defenses built for yesterday's ransomware. Training, MFA, monitoring, good offline backups, they're baseline now.
It really is a wake-up call to shift from reactive thinking to proactive security focused on data protection, not just system recovery.
A crucial shift indeed. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. As these data extortion tactics keep evolving, maybe they get even stealthier, maybe target even more specific data types, how does that change the way you need to prepare your business's defenses for what comes next?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Constant vigilance and adaptation.
Till next time.